As a cult torture survivor, I have a lot of grief and anger over all the effects of the torture and the mind control that I still hold, that I still have, that I will probably have my entire life, and how much I struggle. It seems so unfair that for cult torture survivors that we were victims, that we didn't search out anyone to hurt or torture, and that the cults, they so often do well in society and have acclaim or money or power, and the rest of us, the cult torture survivors, the victims, are struggling, and that we have so many effects, mental health effects and physical effects, that for me, I think will be lifelong. Like, there is, of course, the depression, the anxiety, the cPTSD, the dissociation, suicidal ideation from the mind control, the dissociative identity, the being plural, which I needed to survive. We needed to survive, and we have self-created folks inside that we had to split off second after second after second to survive the torture. But there's also the ones that the cult intentionally created. The cult created folks inside who have very specific jobs to basically hurt me and silence me and shut me down and make me forget things and cut things out of my brain, like metaphorically. But, well, I do actually forget the things that they cut out of my brain. They just don't physically cut it out, right? But like that even are to hurt my self-esteem, to keep me, I have programmed, cult-trained folks inside who will cut out of my brain any compliment, anything that is a positive about me. And I have worked with folks inside, and I have changed jobs, and then there's a ton of them behind that I also have to work with. And so I have workarounds, like asking friends and my therapist and chosen family to like tell me by writing it out, tell me by video, tell me by an audio recording. And then I have to remember that I can actually go listen to it or read it again. And still someone inside will like slam up a wall or like cut it out of my brain, and I can't remember it a few seconds later. Some of it has gotten better, but there's so many effects, the mental health effects, the trauma, the way that we struggle, like most days on different levels and scales, and all the triggers and all the cues that go down to programming. And then there's also the physical health effects. Like, I know that I have arthritis in specific places, a lot of my body, where like I was held in certain ways, like tied up with my wrists and hung, and that hurt my shoulders, that hurt my wrists. How many times I was slammed to like concrete floors for men to rape, or against walls, and I have arthritis in my spine. There are physical effects, and I have some physical health issues that I think are a direct result of the cult torture. It makes me angry and sad that like the cult continues to affect my life and my health, my physical health and my mental health, even though I am safe, though it took me most of my life to get safe. There's a lot of grief there, and there is working on my healing always. And there's still wishing that it didn't have such long-term effects. There's how many times of the year I struggle with suicidal ideation, which I will never ever do. It's just there's mind control for it, and there are folks inside who are taught to take me back down to the feeling that we felt during the torture, because we didn't want to live through the torture often. It was so extreme, the psychological and the physical torture. There's imposter syndrome. There's like ways that we can't hold on to how we are really good at something. There's so many effects of the trauma and the torture, and that most people don't live with the amount of effects that we have unless they're also cult torture survivors. But there is healing and there is hope. Like, my life is so much better than it was when I was being tortured, and I am not in constant crisis the way I was when I was being tortured and I was still remembering, and I was still being tortured and having mind control used against me. I have chosen family now. I have people who actually love me, and I didn't have that for most of my life. I have inner cooperation and inner communication with everyone inside, with the dissociative identity, with being plural, and that helps so much. We don't lose time anymore. We know who abused us, or at least many. There's so much healing we've done, and I'm so grateful for it. And my life is so much better. And there are still lots of effects of the trauma and the torture and the mind control. But I am grateful for all the healing. And I'm grateful for the joy that my inner kids can bring and that some other parts can bring who have hope, or who can write or draw or see the world in a creative way or a hopeful way. There's good and there are still effects. And it makes sense that there are.